Maybe episode 100, there'll be somebody here pressing the buttons for us, so we can and pressing the stop clock.
Remember, AI, AGI will have taken over. This will just be AI. We'll just be sat there having an Aperol. Remember?
Yes, sorry, I keep forgetting. That's the plan. Yeah. Actually, we're not meant to tell anybody that because, maybe they'll stop listening.
Oh, yeah. Get it while you can. Human experience is on its way out.
You guys don't age. People can be like, you guys don't age. Maybe that you get better looking. You're starting to look younger.
Yeah, that's the Aperol.
That is the Aperol, for sure.
Right. So let's explain what this is all about. So there's one question that salespeople and sales leaders are asking us every week, which is, what are you seeing in the market? And we're out there in the field learning. We're understanding what's happening. We're seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we're taking the best insights, the best lessons, and bringing it to you each week in just 2 topics, 10 minutes each, against the clock.
Welcome to the Field Notes podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Field Notes podcast. I'm joined by Rich. Rich, how's it going?
It's tip top. Thank you very much. Or ship shape and Bristol fashion, as we say.
Very nice. Very nice. Any Aperol spritz? You sent me a picture the other day of your dog having an Aperol. Was that right?
So we bought one of those little inflatable dinghies, and I called it Spritz. And I know it's your favorite thing in the world, so I sent you a picture of my dog next to his Spritz. Yeah, nice. Yeah. This is like step 1 of my master plan to become a boater. With my own wonderful yacht one day, is a little 8-foot dinghy called Spritz. But we got to start somewhere, right?
Sign me up. When you got it,
my MVP.
I'll bring the Aperol.
Yeah, I like it.
Nice. All right, so we've got another episode today. We're going to be talking about 2 topics. We've got 10 minutes for each topic. We've got some sound effects.
Oof.
And I'm going to kick us off.
What's your topic this week, James? What are you seeing in the market that people might be missing?
So the more we go up market and work with bigger organizations, we're now seeing these organizations have got a first line leader, a second line leader, and then some kind of like CRO role. And transformation really requires like the 2 people that are critical are the rep and the first line leader. Everyone's like, hey, we need to train our sellers. True. But if you remember back to school, you didn't just go to school, go home, play PlayStation, go to school, new topic, send you home with some homework. And you'd sit down with your parents and they'd help you with it. And then you go in and you had to hand it in and the teacher would like review it and give you some feedback, right? So I think those 2 roles are critical. You've got the rep, obviously, who needs to do the execution part, but the manager has to help with the transformation. So one of the things that we're seeing is that a lot of first-line leaders actually don't have the capability, Rich, to do their role to ultimately hit the number and drive transformation. So that's what I thought we would talk about today is some of the challenges that we see first-line leaders run into, and then what recommendations we could make to any first-line leaders listening to this to help them be more effective as a leader.
I love it. Tell us about the problem, the root cause, and the solution of this topic, James.
Okay. So, I've got to press my button. New topic. There we go. Leaning into our narrative and why we exist, right? Like nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. I talk about this all of the time. It's so true. I stumbled into this lovely profession 15 years ago. It took me 8 years to get any training. It was 2 days off-site in some warehouse somewhere, spin selling. It was good, but wasn't really enforced and wasn't wildly successful. And then I just figured stuff out through mistakes, losing my hair, getting burnt, making, all of the good stuff, right? And some of us can deal with the punches long enough to figure it out. Some people don't, unfortunately. And we lose a lot of good people because lack of skill capability building. Now think about a seller that, I don't know, there's like 3 years, hits the number, and the organization's grown. Like, hey, we need to promote somebody. We're not going to hire from outside. We're going to step somebody up. They're usually promoted based on performance. Rich has hit his number the last couple of years, and he's maintaining a 30% win rate. We should step him up. Jump on a call. Hey, Rich, it's great news. You mentioned to us when you joined that one day you want to be a leader. Today's your day. Here's a nice pay rise. Here's a new job title. Oh, by the way, your number's now gone up by 6 times because you got 6 people in your team. everyone's really happy, everyone's really excited. And then everyone starts scratching their head and wondering why in like 2-3 quarters nothing's really happening. And that's because Rich has got no idea what he's doing. He's never been shown how to have a tough conversation before with somebody. He's never had any performance management training, and as a result, they never had any coaching on how he's implementing that training. No one's ever taught him how to um, recruit, like write a job description, how to interview, how to assess somebody with a scorecard we were talking about earlier, how to do onboarding, how to identify what good looks like in my org, how to run a forecast call, all of those, all of that, how to do a deal review, how to do a one-on-one, like all of the things, right, Rich, that we've learned over the years through
Yeah.
getting it wrong and stuff. So, like, we wonder why things are in the state that they are is because the reps aren't performing, and the people that need to drive change and transformation and new strategies, go up market and stuff, they haven't been set up for success. And there's this lovely kind of hamster wheel where, like, we hire, we fire, and then we burn a load of money, a load of time, and then we do it again. We phone up Rich, say, "Hey, Rich, it didn't work out with somebody we promoted, so can you bring in an external leader?" Right? And they don't do the assessments effectively, even though you've been banging on the door for ages for them to do it. And then they bring that person in. They don't set them up for success. They don't give them the context and what good looks like and stuff, so that they really struggle. So that's a problem. Is like we're not driving the number, we're not driving change, we're not being transformational in the org, and that's being caused by this classic thing that will probably never change, which is nobody goes to university for this stuff. We stumble into
Mm.
it, and some of us make it, some of us
Mm.
figure out. I don't know if that's how you see it as well, by the way, but that's typically what I see happens with first line leaders because I experienced it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I came from a company that had an amazing development program, incredible. We had like
Okay.
communications workshops, and the CEO
Oh, wow.
ran it, and it was really, really good. But becoming a team manager, I did have an amazing group of managers around me that helped me to learn. But it was, you've got a team, run it for a week. That was the assessment, and then I did a good job for that week, and then I got given the team. And I remember going, right, I'm doing an interview now. What do I do? Like, I don't remember Google back in the day. Maybe it was like Yahoo. I don't know. It was a long time ago. And I was like, how to run an interview? And it's like, ask them about their 3 biggest weaknesses.
Yeah.
and like
Where
going
do you
through
see yourself in 5 years?
exactly. So I know you're being so focused on what you were going to say in the interview, you weren't really listening. I hired a terrible first team, caused me a load of pain. I learned a lot that the hard way. So when I became a leader, I took all the things that we'd learned, like ad hoc from great people in the business, and we collectively built a thing called the fast track management program, which is where we took people after their assessment and we gave them a 3-month program to become signed off managers, and it had all of those fundamentals in it, and it was this massive playbook for coaching and leadership. And I thought, oh, every business has that, and I've realized since very, very, very few do. And it is the case still in 2026 that people get promoted into a leadership role and then they just got to figure it out. And it's almost like we index on it. We want people with a high figure it out ability score as a skill. And I'm like, that's a very,
Self-starters welcome.
yeah, exactly. That's a very high risk maneuver, because you're talking about the impact is people and customers and revenue. And unless you built that much like into your business model that you can afford that, most people don't have that. Plus, like you say, it will cause a lot of people to burn out. And there's this really interesting thing. The other thing I see on this point is everyone goes, I want people to hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
What's the translation of that? I don't want to train people. So who's doing the training?
And
So
you don't have much time.
absolutely. No, exactly. So it's just ridiculous. It's just one of these things that we say. We want people to high figure out score, and we want people to hit the ground running. And I think for leaders, a lot of reps do get training, not as much as they should, not to the caliber they should. I see so few businesses invest into leadership training. It's quite scary.
Yeah. I mean, I had like a very, very small bit after a while in my first VP role, but it wasn't every exec in the organization was involved. So it wasn't sales specific, sales leadership specific. I'm not saying what that stuff isn't, like the more general stuff isn't helpful. Of course it is. But I think I don't want to say you got lucky, but I think you were one of the rare people that was in an organization that maybe was a bit more mature and sophisticated, and or saw that the business was going a specific way, and somebody was intelligent driving the ship
Yeah.
was like, if these people don't step up, this business
Yeah.
is not going to go to where I want it to go to. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they saw themselves as a training company. Like that, they said our business model really is that we're a training company, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I've not heard many businesses describe it that way. So
yeah.
why do you think? Why? What's the root cause of this problem as to why leaders aren't getting the enablement that they should?
One, we don't properly assess people. So we just assume that because Rich has been a sales manager for 4 years, he's probably had that training. So we'll just hire him. He's a nice guy. He'll probably gel with the team. You know, Mark and Sophie and John on the team will like Rich, so we'll bring him in. But also everyone's so busy. And if you're not watching this, you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I was doing air quotes. Everyone's too busy doing stuff that's not that important. Like if you went to the meeting invite that you've got in 30 minutes and just asked yourself, is this about driving revenue or recovering revenue? Probably not. You can probably hit the no or the X next to that invite and bin it off, and go and spend that time with your people because you're not too busy. We just spoke about this in another episode. It's a priority thing. If you cut all of that noise, all of a sudden we've got loads of time available. You know, it's just noise rich. So I think just being real honest with ourselves around where we spend that time, and then not just isolating people on the team, making sure that everybody gets time with us, not just the C players or the A players. I hate that way of categorizing stuff, but people align with that. But like making sure that everybody on the team is feeling like they've got some face time and some TLC.
It's interesting, isn't it? If you think about sport. So we were talking about F1 and how cool it is that Lewis won, you know, and what's going to happen with Oscar Piastri, and F1 fans will understand. But everyone, if we think about all the sporting stuff that's happening in the world right now, some amazing things in NBA and the World Cup and is all of those leaders, all of those elite sports people get loads of training, and they get more training now at the top of their game than they probably did when they were younger. And the organizations invest a huge amount into their development, but it's kind of like once in sales, you've got up to the point where you can hit target, the training stops. And I wonder what you're seeing in the market as to what's the reality. So someone's about to get promoted into a management role, or maybe they're in role, maybe they're in their first 12 months of being a leader. What's the biggest gaps that you see in the enablement of leadership that exists in the market today?
Some of them don't even know how to have a tough conversation with their sellers. Like they refuse to have it. You know, and some don't even know how to coach a call. You know, we were talking about this earlier, but like we had to do a session recently where there was a scorecard really clearly defined. Like these are the categories of discovery, for example, that we think are critical to, you know, execute. And then not like a rating of 1 to 10, which nobody can really tell what the difference between a 4, 7, and 9 is, but 1, 2, and 3. 1 is terrible. You know, 2 is okay. 3 is elite. And really clear definitions for each one. And listening to the call, and as I'm listening, selecting the option and putting some context in ahead of a one-on-one and asking a seller to do the same thing. Like for me, people will argue with this, but the leader's primary role is to get the most out of the individuals on their team. And the quickest and easiest way to get the most out of the individuals on your team is to make sure that they're fully enabled and they're capable of executing their role at the highest level. And a lot of that comes to, hey, Rich, here's what to do. This is why it's important. Okay, based on what you're trying to achieve personally, inside and outside of work. This is what to do. This is why it's important. Word for word, here's how you do it. Let's do a little role play. Make sure you feel comfortable with it in here so we don't mess up on any important people. And then look, dude, just go and have a conversation with somebody. Yeah. And look, honestly, it's okay to mess it up, but go and have a conversation and then bring me the recording and let's listen to the recording together. Let's just like give you some feedback on how you did that. And then it's a little bit more role play until you get to a point where you're at like really strong level and we can go focus on the next critical skill. like that for me is what that person's role is all about. Like that's what I tried to do in both of my VP roles, and I would spend weekends and evenings doing the other stuff so that when my sellers were online, we would do that. You know, my last org, I spent, I don't know, nearly 8-9 hours a week in role plays and in coaching sessions. I didn't have any enablement team. I didn't have sales ops. Like I was literally managing the reps. I was doing a little bit of selling, but I tried to pull myself away from that this time so I could be really immersive with the team. And 11 months later, like reps were going from 40% to 240% of the number. You know, a rep that I'm still in touch with went from 11% to 57% win rate because I just like got really intimate with the team and then like really focused us on what really matters. So I think when it comes to like the root cause or like some of the big stuff is like we're just not doing the basics. Everyone's just they're just trying to do all this like big crazy stuff because they read a blog somewhere else or some guru on LinkedIn talk about it, and then we just forget to do the basics that actually drive our business forward.
I'm not sure how we're doing for time. We've got enough time for question.
Yeah, go for it. Terrible on time, but you go for it.
So what's part of the solution then? So you've mentioned about a specific example there with the team, but let's say you're a CRO or a founder listening to this. You've got first line leaders, maybe second line, but let's focus on the first line leaders who are responsible for the team. And you know that they've got some gaps, but they're really busy and they've got a massive number to hit and maybe they're behind. What's the right place for them to start to help to fill in this gap that's going to be causing such a big consequence on the overall performance?
Yeah. So let's tackle the time piece. You're just going to have to suck it up, and it might just be a weekend thing. Okay, if you want to actually like start to solve the problem, but you are going to have to open up a Google Doc, a Notion page, whatever it might be, and you're going to have to start writing down the playbook. And if you don't know what the playbook is, you're going to have to go and get some help on what the playbook should look like. But before you even do anything, you should think long and hard. Like let's say the first line leader, what should they be doing? Where's the gray area? Plug that gap. Like when I built the sales playbook in my roles, take prospecting. How do you do it? When and where? All of the bits and pieces. Take a cold call. Where people get confused, plug it. Takes time, but you got to have the clarity, the documentation, what good looks like written down somewhere, and then you need to give it to people, and then you need to go and observe them doing that stuff. And then you'd be like, okay, Rich is really good at having tough conversations, but not very good at recruiting, hence why his team are continuously costing the business whatever it is to replace somebody and never hitting the number. James is pretty good at recruiting people, but one-to-ones just are rare. When we log into the HR system, they happen every like 6 weeks. We want them to be happening once a week, whatever it might be. Like terrible examples, right? But you get my point. And then you go, right, these people have got different gaps, so we create cohorts depending on the size of your org, and we go and put those people into the different cohorts, and we run isolated programs to enable those people and guide them to an excellent, highly capable level, right? So anyone that's listening to this, like first, I can almost guarantee you cannot open up a playbook and show me, how to run a one-on-one, how to have a tough conversation, how to set OKRs, how to run a forecast, how to recruit, what a good job description looks like. What does a really good job description look like? What would attract somebody that could be transformational for your business versus someone that's just been binned for being lazy, and you're going to attract those people? I can almost guarantee that people can't open it, Rich, because they're too busy.
Yeah.
I
can hear it. I can hear it means a lot to you. There's a piece of advice that I remembered when you were telling that example, which is same with when you're listening to a call with a rep. You might, particularly if it's an early time that you're doing this and you've not been doing lots of coaching on calls, find 15 problems in that call.
Mm-hmm.
The temptation is to give them coaching on all 15 points, but they can't handle it, and you'll never be able to measure the results of it. So what we found is, and this works well for ICs, but also for managers, is pick one thing, 1 point, coach on that 1 point, and then see it through. Because if they can fix that one thing, not only will it get them excited because they feel the win, but then you can go, well, what impact did it have? And then we can move on to the next thing. So just my advice on top of what you said is just one thing. And if you do that, you've got a way better chance of being able to build up the kind of foundations to be able to get to where you want to get to. But you're going to find a whole bunch of stuff that you want to fix, and it's impossible. Would you agree? Disagree?
This is dangerous because we're at 16 minutes now, but I don't think most people know what that one thing is, Rich. I think organizations need to design a skills database where they've got the roles in their organization, what skills are relevant for that role, and then what should the capability level be. Let's take business case, for example. If I've got an SMB AE that's like max 2 years in a 360 selling role, they're probably not going to be at 3 out of 3 capability level for business case, but that's okay. Maybe we just need them at level 1. So when I'm actually going, hey, what is that one thing in a one-on-one or in an audit? I need to have, okay, Rich is this role. These are the required capabilities and the capability levels. I've got 15 things I need to fix. Which one is the most critical for Rich to be successful in his role and to get promoted? It is cost justification. Okay, that's going to be my one thing.
Yeah.
And again, like people say they're too busy, but I would say as a sales leader, your job is to get the most out of your people and hit the number. So you should know this. People say to me, hey, what skills do you think we should have in our team? I'm like, that's wild. It shouldn't. Maybe I can like challenge you. Maybe I can just chuck some like ones that we're seeing across the market that maybe orgs haven't kind of caught up with yet. Yeah, like a lot of people are seeing business case now because they're getting beaten up late in the sales process and the forecast is just falling to pieces. But you should have a pretty good grip on like 80-90% of the skills and the required level of those skills for the roles in your org. And if not, then you need to cancel some meetings and get serious.
Yeah. I wonder if this should just be a 20-minute topic.
Maybe it should. Well, I mean, we've only got 2 minutes to be fair, but
this is an episode, right? I think let's do it. So I learned a thing. This might be helpful for people, which is I think the goat of goals is Brian Tracy. It was the thing we always taught and used as the vehicle when we were teaching people about goal setting, because he's just got so much years of experience and written so many books on it. And if anyone's ever looked at goal setting on YouTube, I'm pretty sure Brian Tracy's video will be number one. And he has an activity where he talks about setting the 10 goals for this year. Mm-hmm. You write down 10 goals in I've done it tense. So for example, I weigh 90 kilograms. I earn 100,000. So you write it like that. It's very powerful. The science that's gone into it, he can explain in the video. But then he asks a question, which is, and if you could have achieved one of these goals tomorrow that would have made the biggest difference out of all of them, which one would you pick? And so he doesn't prescribe what that should be. It's just a question that he asks. And I wonder if that would work here in this context, which is you can write, there's no point hiding away from all the things that we need to fix, but get that list down and then ask people, if one of these things you could be great at tomorrow, which one would make the biggest difference? And you'll find out emotionally what they want to tackle first. And if they're really excited about tackling something like emotionally, you're not going to have to try and get them to do it. Whereas if you say, no, I think you're wrong, I think it's this thing, you might have a harder time getting them to buy in. Would it even matter if that wasn't the most effective thing, if they were really passionate about fixing it? What's your take?
I think it'd have a big impact. It might it depends on the passion and the obsession for it to be really transformational, but even just doing it, it could add 20, 30, 40%, right? And again, I won't digress too much, but Staff Circle, my first VP job, was a performance management platform. So the VP of HR would come to us and they'd be like, hey, we got 500 people, 2,000 people, whatever it might be. And we've got high turnover across the organization. There's a pocket over here where it's it's higher, it's expensive. And we've got no idea who's having one-on-ones, the quality of those one-on-ones, are they being followed through, all of that kind of good stuff, because it's done locally on a PDF or a Word document or on a spreadsheet somewhere. So we want to have 360 visibility, real-time visibility on who's doing it, who isn't doing it, what's the quality of the conversations they're having, so we can isolate those managers and coach and enable them, or maybe replace them if we can't change them because they're not adaptable. And honestly, the amount of times, we grew that business wildly in the 2 years. Most of the time the problem was in sales, and it was and I'd be like, to the VP of HR, why do you think that is? And they always complain they're too busy to do one-to-ones or to do the quarterly appraisal or whatever it might be. But every other department makes time to do it who's under pressure, but sales always come up with this excuse that there's never enough time to do this stuff.
Yeah,
and they're always the one that are backpedaling or spinning their wheels or going around in circles.
Final question. is, let's say you are the manager and you know that you have the skill gap. How can you get the buy-in from your business to give you the support and time and resource to turn that into a strength?
I think you have to drop your ego, and you need to take a business case to the business and say, I've never had any formal management training. I've got some challenging people in my team. I know the number's going to go up again by 20%, 30%, whatever it is next year. I'm really loyal, really committed to this business, excited about the future, but I feel like I'm struggling to get the most out of my people. And I feel like if I was enabled to do that, I had the skills, I could probably get more, so that like we'd be more productive, which means we wouldn't have to hire as many people next year. And if the business if the business says, can't do that, Rich, can't train you, I think it probably tells you everything about how that organization views you and the future that they see with you, right? Because if you were in my business, I'd be like, dude, go find me some options. I'll do the same. Let's sit down and let's make a selection together and let's see what we can do. Because I think that's the right thing to do, right? But most companies wouldn't do that, or they'd be like, come back to me at the end of the year once you've hit your number. I'm like, dude, you're just not listening. You don't get it.
Yeah.
Cool. So if that is you, give Rich a call. He'll find you a world-class organization that would invest in you and make you highly capable.
Absolutely. It's the dream, right?
Mm-hmm. And we'll drink Aperols.
Nice. We're at time.
We're at 23 minutes, so we'll do it for effects.
I think just roll it as a 20-minute episode, right?
Yeah. Little special edition.
We have to change them. We can have to follow the rules, do we? It's our rules.